This is 2020. In case you haven't noticed, it's a very, very weird year so far. But we are keeping a positive outlook because the election is coming up in less than 2 months. Well, I'm not here to talk about that. Enough in the news and everywhere else about the election and what's going to happen if this person wins, if that person wins, etc., etc. But I'm here to talk to my granddaughter, Hannah Starr, and my grandson, Tyler Z. As I'm recording this, we just had Tyler Z's baby shower yesterday. It was virtual via Zoom. Strange experience, but it was a lot of fun. So, Tyler's not even born yet, but I figure I might as well just talk to him anyway, along with Hannah, my sons, and everyone else in the family that might someday be interested in hearing what I have not to say. I'm going to be doing these video chronicles about Ticky Mark's checklist of life and basically about my life. It's been a number of decades so far. I'm now in my something like 8th or 9th decade, if you count the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the zeros, the 10s, and now the 20s. Yeah, you can figure it out. A lot of decades, a lot of experiences, but my grandchildren don't know about any of my experiences, or very few anyway at this point. So I'm going to be doing some of these YouTube videos just so we have a history of it. Well, the beginning, just like we started the beginning of Congress Avenue here in Austin, Texas, and we're going to go to the end of Congress Avenue here in Austin, Texas. My beginning was in New York, not the city, but the state of New York. I was born upstate New York, as they call it, and the first town that I lived in was called Horseheads. Horseheads, New York. I remember it not so well. It was a few years ago, but we lived there until I was 6 years old before we moved to Pennsylvania. What I do remember is we had a fairly nice house. I do remember we had a fire there one year, and I was probably about 3 years old maybe. We had a fire that burned down part of the house, but we got it fixed and survived that. For a while we had 3 foster brothers. They were from New York City, Puerto Rican foster kids, but their grandmother decided that she wanted to have them back and be raised by the family, so we were not able to adopt them or keep them. Horseheads was a little town, and we had a neighbor that was a farmer, or at least there was a farmhouse there. I don't think he farmed anymore, and but it was a nice first 6 years of my life. We did for about 3 months go to live about 35-40 miles away outside of Bath, New York, and we lived on my grandparents' farm for a couple months, and in fact that's where I started kindergarten, from living in the farmhouse. So we had chickens and goats. We milked the goats, and I remember my uncle cutting off the heads of the chickens so we could eat the chickens. My grandmother Nana taught us how to pluck the chickens. Not the greatest experience or memory, but it was a memory. Interesting. That's where you see chicken running around with their heads cut off, and it was true. I learned that way back then. So, if I think of anything else interesting about those first 6 years in New York, I'll cover them on a subsequent video. So let me know if you have any questions, comments, likes, we're now getting down here to the north end of Congress Avenue. As you can see, in the near distance here, you can see the Texas State Capitol. This Capitol, the top of the Capitol, is actually taller than the U.S. Capitol because, of course, everything's big in Texas. So, we did move, like I said, to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. My dad, who had worked at Westinghouse in the near Horseheads where we lived, got a new job at RCA. So by the time people watch this, who knows, RCA may totally be gone, but it was a real big company back then. We moved to Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to see RCA. So Congress is terminating here. We finished our ramble for today. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.